Happy Tuesday and welcome to our live episode of Season Sunflower Hour. I am so excited that you chose to spend your Tuesday night with us. I promise you, you will not regret it. This is such a cool group of people we have on tonight. So I'm glad you're tuning in to join in all of the craziness that is about to happen. Now, if you haven't done it already, please follow us, join the Sunflower Hour family. We would love to have you. All the links are there, I'm sure of it. My beautiful producer extraordinaire, Sam, is not here, so she can't give them to you, but follow, like, find all of the things. I'm sure you can navigate around that because we want you to stay up to date and stay with us through all the excitement that we have. Now, as always, I'm going to kick the show off with some really great things that we have coming up within our organization. There's so many fun things to talk about. So without further ado, we have a boot camp coming up on November 18th. That is going to be here before you know it, guys. The holidays are creeping up on us already. The ALS Caregiver Boot Camp is happening November 18th. It is completely free. It is all online, so you can head over to our website. That is alsaunitedchicago.org. That is our new website. So head over there. Let me see if I can put this up for you guys. Here is our website. Head over there for all the information. You guys can get signed up. Again, that is completely free. There's so many great resources that you can be a part of within this organization. So head over there and find out some more information. And also mark your calendars, guys. The date is out for the first look for charity. That is going to be coming up on February 9th. That is so much fun. As we get closer to that event, we'll definitely be talking more about that. But if you have not experienced a first look yet, this would be a great opportunity to get out there. Fun date night, fun girls' night, whatever it might be. But it is a great chance to get to really not only raise money for an incredible cause, but get to be one of a very select group of people that get in to see the Chicago Auto Show before it's open to the general public. So that means so much more time for you to touch the cars, sit in the cars, eat all the yummy food. It's an awesome event, and get all dressed up and get to hang out with our super amazing family. So join it, be a part of it, keep that date. It is November 9th. Keep that on your brains. Now, we've got so many great things to talk about tonight. I want to just dive straight into them. I'm not going to waste any more time. We're going to go for this tonight, guys. So sit back, get ready for an incredible show. And as always, thanks for being a part of the family. Now, if you were to go into the dictionary and look up happiness, endless energy, and positivity, without a doubt, you would see this incredible woman's face. I can tell you she is an Energizer bunny that she never stops. I don't know where she gets it all from. Her light, her love, and her happiness is beyond infectious. I have tested this theory out. It is absolutely impossible to be around her, to talk about her, to even think about her without it putting a huge smile on your face. She is absolutely incredible. She's one of our Sunflower Hour regulars, and I am so lucky to be able to say she's also a friend. So please welcome our very own Director of Development, Sarah Brandt. Hi, Sarah.
Hey, Stephen, that was so sweet. Thank you.
I mean, this is my issue. Every time you come on the show, I would like a dedicated 30 minutes to give you an intro that you deserve because you are that fantastic. So it is very hard to me to be able to sum up your awesomeness within the matter of just a minute or two, because you really are, Sarah. You're absolutely incredible. And I'm so excited to have you back because we've got some really big things to chat about. And I'm really happy you're the one that gets to make this announcement. So we just had huge weekend. Huge weekend. Last weekend, October 8th, the Bank of America Chicago Marathon, Team ALS. You spearhead it. You are just the incredible, like, mama bear. This is your thing. You're the fearless team leader. Now, each year we know is special, and every year just keeps getting better and better. But this year was extra special. So what massive milestones did Team ALS hit, and the marathon in general hit, for this 2023 marathon?
Oh my gosh. Well, Susan, you're right. There were so many big things happening this year. I don't know where to start. Well, first of all, it was the 45th running of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. So that was a huge milestone for the race. And then they saw their 1 millionth finisher cross the finish line. So that was a pretty big race to be a part of for all of the participants and Team ALS to be a part of that field. And then it was also the largest running of marathon ever, with over 47,000 runners.
Wow.
Yes. So they had so many big things happening. There was a world record broken. Someone ran 26.2 miles in just over 2 hours. I don't know. 2 hours and 35 seconds. Like, it's
how is that even humanly possible?
I don't know. And then the women's record for the course, the men's and women's wheelchair records for the course. Like, there were so many amazing, huge things about this year's race. So really special to be a part of that.
Holy smokes.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And it's just, we're so honored to be a charity partner with that race. It's an iconic race and it's special, in and of itself. But then this year was like extra special.
Extra special. I wonder if people were fighting it out to try to be the millionth to cross that finish line. Did they know? Were they?
I was wondering that too. I'm like, did you have to decide like where you were in the pack of 47,000 to try to, reach that point? And man, it would have been amazing to have one of our Team ALS runners be that 1 millionth, but it's still cool to be a part of all of those major milestones. With the race.
And wasn't there a huge milestone too, even for our Team ALS? Wasn't this the I'll let you say it.
Yeah, so it was. So in addition to all those great things with the Bank of America Chicago Marathon, Team ALS was our largest team to date with 200 charity runners. It's just amazing. It's amazing to, see this program grow and to know that we had that many devoted people running to defeat ALS on October 8th. And then those 200 people raised over $433,000 for ALS care.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
I had no idea. I didn't even know what that number was. I didn't know what that final number was.
Yes. It's incredible. It's just, I don't know. It was a record-breaking year all around for the marathon, for Team ALS. It was a special, special group.
Well, then, I mean, they did incredible. You wrapped that up. I was going to say, how did the team do? But they just knocked it out of the park. So thank you to everyone who was a part of Team ALS and every single person that donated to someone who was out there running for Team ALS. That was absolutely huge. What is the goal then for next year? I mean, how do you even top that? Are we hoping to get another 200 runners, or does that number go up for us? Do we get more bibs now?
Yes. So we did get more bibs for 2024. So next year will hopefully be then our largest ever at 225. So we have 225 bibs possible to fill. So that's exciting.
That's super exciting. And I will say, I just want to say to anyone that is watching this and considering it, that it sounds like a lot. I mean, 225 does sound like a lot, but it goes so fast. Mm-hmm. We are so lucky to have such rock stars that want to run for Team ALS, that even the 200 bibs that you had went so fast. So if you are considering this, it's not something you want to think, I can wait a year and then sign up. No. You want to get your spot. You want to be a part of this amazing team. Make sure you get it early.
Yes.
Well, I know that we say this, but it is so true. Team ALS, they really are a family. They are a family. And I said it, you are the mama bear. You are the one that is just there championing. You're with them every step of the way, through it's the signing up, training, prepping for the run, fundraising for the run, and then the marathon itself. You're there every single step of the way with love and support for them. So I know that you are out there inspiring a lot of them. And I hear that from our runners, how amazing and inspiring and helpful you are. But on the other side of that, how do some of these awesome Team ALS members, how are they inspiring you?
I mean, it is incredible that these folks are signing up to go this huge distance. I mean, a full marathon is no joke. And, it's 26.2 miles on race day, but then it's also all of the training that goes into that, all of the time. It's incredible that we have so many awesome folks that are willing to do this and go that distance for ALS because they have a personal connection. They've been impacted by ALS, and they want to make sure that other people aren't having to go through that, and that they are supported through their ALS journeys. And so, yeah, it's an inspiring group, and I love hearing their stories. Everyone has a unique story to share, whether they're running, for a parent or a spouse or a coach. It's just, everyone coming together. And again, like 200 people, it's not that many people. It's 200 people doing really mighty things together. So it's that's inspiring too, to see how these people are, dedicating not only their time to fund or to train for this, but to fundraise for ALS too.
Yeah. And putting their bodies through all of that in the name of ALS. Like you said, it's 200 people doing mighty, mighty work.
Yes. Oh my gosh, definitely. Yes, because then through all of that, they're raising awareness, and they're out there wearing their Run to Defeat ALS shirts, and people are, seeing that. So it's just so many levels of goodness that they are doing. And it's just a privilege to see that and be a small part of it.
That's so cool. I can't even imagine what it's like for you. Yeah, just sitting back in the sidelines far away watching it unfold is just awe-inspiring already, and you get to sort of be there in the heart of it. I think that is absolutely beautiful. Well, today, so we had all those beautiful big milestones you got to tell us about, but I know today is another really special day too. So what's happening today?
Well, it is the official launch of the 2024 Bank of America Chicago Marathon registration today. It just opened. I'm excited to say we've already had 16 runners sign up. So, I mean, we're well on our way to filling our 225 spots. And yeah, people are already making that commitment for October 13th, 2024. So they're all in and they're ready to go. And it's so cool to see. And again, that people are thinking this far ahead and ready to go the distance for ALS.
Absolutely. So this is exactly what I was saying earlier. If you are even just considering this, give it some real thought real fast, because today, registration just opened today, and we've already had 16 of those bibs snatched up. So if you want one, if you want to be a part of this incredible family, this Team ALS, and experience the Chicago Marathon with us, you better snag that bib real fast. So how do they do this, Sarah? If someone's watching this and wants to be a part of this, what do they do?
Yes, so they can reach out to me and email me. We have a unique link that will assign them as a Run to Defeat ALS charity runner with the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. And then one benefit to getting registered early is right now there's a 1-month window of like the guaranteed entries for charities, and then you lock in that lower fundraising minimum. And so that is $1,250 is your fundraising minimum if you register by November 16th. And then if you wait, and I know some people, they want time to think about it, and that's totally fine. But if you do wait, we will have entries left, but it bumps up to $1,750 for the fundraising.
So that is a huge benefit. If you want to jump on this, if you know that now, jump in and you can save some money. We know you're going to blow past that goal anyway, but it's nice to have the lower goal. As I'm talking to you, I am typing in so that everyone has your email address. So for more information on running the Chicago Marathon, there you go, guys. It is up live in the comment section. It is Sarah's email address, and she will be able to get you the specific link you need and answer any questions. And I want everyone to really understand that. I know it's a huge commitment. So if you have any questions, just reach out to Sarah to inquire about it. She can walk you through everything, because the moment that you sign up, even before that, if you're even interested, from the moment you reach out to Sarah, she is there to help you every step of the way. I promise you are never out there on an island alone. You always have somebody.
Definitely, definitely. So please, yes, email me. You can also go to runtodefeatals.org, and that has more information in my email. But yes, if you have any questions, if you're, considering it, I would be happy to answer your questions or talk you through whatever you might want to know. But it is exciting.
I love that. Well, do you have anything else to say to everyone, Sarah? I know you've got a busy day because registration opened and they're already pouring in. So we're going to let you jump on that and get back to getting all those amazing runners signed up and get them ready to run the 2024 Bank of America Chicago Marathon.
Yes, it's so exciting. So yes, we loved Team ALS 2023 and they were incredible. And it's exciting to look forward now and see what this next group of amazing folks will do.
More amazing things, for sure. Well, as always, Sarah, I just love having you on. I am so excited. And by the way, I love that hat so much. Can folks get that hat?
Yes.
Is it on the website?
This was a fundraising incentive this year. So for folks that went over their fundraising minimum, but so kind of, exclusive for folks that do a little bit more, go above and beyond.
So basically what you're telling me is the sad people like myself who cannot run to save my life, I have no prayer of ever getting my hands on one of those beautiful hats.
Oh, Susan, I'm sorry. No, for you, of course, you can have one. But our Run to Defeat ALS is exclusive merchandise. It's really, like our runners get their race singlets. And we do have, a merch website with other products. But the Run to Defeat ALS is just for our marathon runners. So.
Okay, guys, ladies and gentlemen, if you heard it, you want that beautiful hat, you're going to have to run. You're going to have to run for it. That alone is worth it. All the other things are just icing on the cake. Come run and get that gorgeous hat because it looks incredible on Sarah. Oh, Sarah, I love you. And I can't wait to see what you and Team ALS accomplish next year at the Chicago Marathon. But I know you'll be back before then to keep us updated.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
Look, see you later. Bye.
Bye.
You guys, that swag is for real. You should see the team shirts. I mean, everything is incredible. So if you want more information, her email address is up in the comment section. Make sure you reach out to Sarah at alsunitedchicago.org and she'll get you all the info. But really, do not wait. Do not sit on this because those bibs are going to fill up so fast. And now keeping all this excitement for the ALS Team ALS Chicago Marathon going, we have another two super special people in the house tonight. Now, after talking to Sarah, I don't know, maybe some of you are sitting back thinking, hey, I wonder what it would be like to run the Chicago Marathon. Well, why waste time wondering? Why not just dive in and get to see what it is like for yourself, get to have that experience? Our next guests are high school sweethearts who were fueled with a purpose to take action. Amber and Tom had absolutely no experience running in general, and they self-admittedly had absolutely no idea what they were doing or what was to come from running a marathon, but that was not going to stop them from running for Team ALS. They're a shining example of how passion, purpose, and drive can fuel you to do something unimaginable. Because we know we are all truly capable of doing really extraordinary things if we put our minds to it. And these two are perfect examples of that. This husband and wife duo went from never running a marathon to finishing the Chicago Marathon and crossing that line hand in hand, here to share their motivation for taking action and to give us a glimpse of what it's like to run for Team ALS. Please welcome Chicago Marathon finishers and ALS advocates, Tom and Amber. Let's bring them on in here. Hi, guys.
Hi, Susan. Thanks for having us.
Quite the introduction.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. And how cool does it? It's cool for me to say it, but I hope it's cool to hear too. Chicago Marathon finishers.
It's got a ring. Makes the knees feel a little bit better. I'll tell you that much. Yeah.
Yeah. Does it? It's worth it, right? It's worth it. Well, you guys are already superstars in my book because, like Sarah was saying, I don't know how anyone could want to run that 26.2 miles, but to choose to do it and to train for it and to go through all the things you go through, absolute superstars. But you went from, I love this beautiful story because you went from Amber, you were telling me you guys weren't runners. You weren't endurance athletes. This wasn't something you've spent your whole life doing. And so then you've never done it. And then you say, hey, why not? Let's run a marathon. So later on, we're going to dive into that, what that experience was actually like. But before that, I have to ask the obvious question. Why? What in the world makes somebody think that? So either what, or maybe should I say who was the driving force behind why you made this crazy, amazing decision?
Yeah. And my dad was primarily the driver for me specifically to run. I ran 2022 and then Tom and I ran 2023 together. But my dad was diagnosed in 2014 and then passed away a few years later from ALS. And so we were connected with the ALS chapter and had just a front row seat during his illness and all of his symptoms and all the great work that they do. So he was, the main driving force for me to sign up for that first time.
What about you, Tom? Did she just convince you? Did she just pull you in?
Yeah, I was just trying to drive her there, and all of a sudden I'm running all of a sudden. But no, no, it was honestly, I had really no intention of doing it. And I actually told a story at the ALS dinner on Saturday night about how I was sitting there with Sarah, and she said, "Oh, so you're going to run next year?" And we all kind of laughed and like nothing about it. But there's just something about that weekend. It was my first time being there as a spectator as well, and just watching Amber go through the whole process and truly being part of the team and just kind of seeing what that is like, and just understanding that it's a personal goal, it's a personal achievement, but it is so much more that particular weekend and being part of that team. So, I kind of looked at it of, I'd always been somewhat of a, athletic and fitness enthusiast. And it was one of those things where I didn't want to do it, but I was like, okay, if I'm not getting younger, I'm not getting healthier. So this is the time to do it. And I could not be more happy that I chose to do it this year.
Oh, I love that. And I love that your first experience of doing this for both of you was with Team ALS. I feel like the bar got set real high, real high for you guys when it comes to running a marathon. But Amber, the motivation for you was your dad. And I know you kind of said, I want to dive into that for just a quick second, that your dad passed away in 2016, but you had mentioned to me, so actually in 2014, he had started experiencing some symptoms, but then there was a long road. And unfortunately, this is a story we hear all too many times. It took a while to get to that diagnosis. And then by the time your dad did get to that diagnosis, unfortunately, he lost his battle pretty quickly. But what was that process like of just sort of the unknown and battling through that? And then I know you had mentioned they were trying to throw other surgeries his way. And what was that experience like?
Yeah. So my dad, he first noticed symptoms in 2014. He actually did a Thanksgiving turkey trot. And his left foot, he was experiencing some like numbness and general like soreness, a little bit of lack of mobility. And then, being an active guy, he was like, oh gosh, maybe I tweaked it on that 4-mile run, or I did something in spin class. So he just brushed it off. And didn't really think anything of it. And then, time goes on, it's not getting better. He had seen his like general practitioner. But during that period, Tom and I are actually talking about recently, like we never thought, knowing his general, like immediate symptoms, we never even thought ALS or even thought that was a possibility. Do you know what I mean? Like when it starts and it's, loss of mobility or numbness in an extremity, you just, you think of a million other different things. So, he did the general practitioner route. Then at this point, it's taking time, and he's a guy, so he's probably, putting off his doctor's appointment. Sorry, Tom, but, not going maybe as quickly as he should be, he's just thinking like, it'll be fine. So a year goes by, the symptoms are worsening. He's losing more muscle mass, like, in his legs, he's starting to fall a little bit more. Goes to an orthopedic surgeon who wants to do back surgery on him. He'd had a spinal tap. He'd done all these other tests. And right before the back surgery, he got some advice from a few of his friends just to get a second opinion. We're so glad he did. He didn't very last minute back surgery was scheduled. I remember distinctly talking about like recovery time and everything. And he pulled back. And then that spoke to a neurologist, which led him to University of Chicago. So it took a year and a half for him to get diagnosed. And by that time, the symptoms had completely ramped up before we got the diagnosis. So it was a struggle. Looking back, Tom and I both talked about it. It would have been so nice just to take a blood test or a DNA test and get a positive result sooner, when the symptoms are less. It seems like for a lot of people, it takes so long, or you have all these other procedures done before you find out what it really is.
Yeah, sort of the process of elimination before you get to the ALS diagnosis. And Amber, you and I, when we were talking about this, it's really heartbreaking to me that there is no instant, real quick way to say, oh, this is what it is. Because when you are diagnosed with ALS, we know this, you don't have time. Time is the one thing that you are fighting against. So to be able to have every precious moment, knowing this and be able to plan out the way you want things is just so incredibly beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the many reasons why what this organization is doing, why what the two of you are doing by running, by spreading awareness, why it is so important, because the more people that are talking about ALS, that know about ALS, that helps the doctors maybe get to that ALS conclusion first. Like you said, that wasn't even a thought on anyone's mind. ALS sometimes just doesn't register, and we have to make this register with more and more people. That is what we are out here. That's what we are fighting to do. And you two are doing an amazing job of doing just that. Well, I know that your dad has inspired you in many ways, but is there a beautiful memory or story you want to share with us that kind of encompasses the amazing man that your dad was and the amazing man that inspired the two of you to take this journey of ALS advocacy?
Yeah, so just a little bit about my dad. So he was very active. I had mentioned a spin class. So he most mornings and before work would get up and go to a gym with his friends and do either like a group workout or a spin class, which was his absolute favorite. But we heard stories later from one of his good friends that he'd always be in the back, not spinning very fast, and he'd just be there. He'd just say, "I'm just here for the social hour and the music." It was like 90s and 80s music or whatever, and his friends were there, so he would just go and hang out. Probably not really break much of a sweat, but he was such a social person and social butterfly. He had tons of really close friends, a big circle of friends. He could talk to anybody. You'd talk anybody's ear off, even if you didn't really maybe want to talk with him. As a testament to that, at his wake, there was over 300 people that came, and even some of the employees of the car wash that he went to on a daily basis came to his wake just to pay their respects, which is, still to this day, something that's so touching for us, that even just somebody he might have had a brief interaction with once a day, that they felt called to come, say goodbye to him.
Oh, testament to the kind of man he was.
For sure.
Absolutely. Well, a kind and amazing man, but also a protective papa. I hear a very protective papa. So because I know you got to meet him, Tom. So I know you got to meet him and fall in love with him and be equally inspired by the incredible man, father-in-law he was. But I heard it wasn't that easy in the beginning.
I don't know what you're talking about, Susan. It's been just, yeah, no, it was, we look back. So Amber and I met when we were 16. So, we were going on 20 years by the time, unfortunately, Mark passed. But, we've got a 6-year-old daughter now. So I completely, looking back on it now, I understand the 16-year-old kid from 10 towns over that, 30 minutes away, they keep driving back and forth to see each other. So kind of understand the resistance to young love, but at the same time, it was there were some trying times early on. But no,
are there any good ones? Are there any super good things that he did to you that now that you have a daughter, you're like, oh yes, Mark, I'm gonna use that one.
I think there was always times, we'd be like, in the basement watching a movie or something, and he just, randomly decide that's the time to vacuum the floor right in front of us while we were watching TV. So, there's a lot of movies I never got to see the end of because I had to leave early. But no, it's the fun stuff you kind of think about back when you were a kid, and then it kind of evolved into the relationship of having a grandchild and everything with that. So it was funny. I think we can use this forum to officially announce that we scratched his car in about 2003. I think that's also a good chance to kind of use that too. So, but yeah.
So did he have no idea? Is this the first time this is being said out loud?
This is the first time. Yeah, this is online now. I think the statute of limitations has passed. I think now's the time we can actually, announce that the garage scratched it because we drove it, not because of whatever else we blamed at the time. Yeah. So.
You know what? I love exclusives, so I am all about it.
We're here to break news. That's what we're here for, Susan. Yep.
Absolutely. I love this. See, this is why you have to tune into every episode, because you just never know what revelations are going to come out. You never, now it's out there. Now the family knows. But yes, I absolved from everything. So no one can come after you. Statute of limitation has passed, and you are protected by the Sunflower Hour family.
That was the way it was explained to me as well. So I'm glad we're on the same page about that. Yes. Good.
Beautiful, beautiful. Maybe just now they know to keep their cars away from you. No one's going to let you ever borrow their car again. Small price to pay, though, for getting that weight
That's
off
fair.
your shoulders, right?
That's fair. Yep.
Beautiful. Well, I know that, and I'm thankful for this, that through the course of Mark being diagnosed with ALS, you did find your way to our organization pretty quickly, which is such a blessing. I'm so thankful for that. So what's the ALS United Greater Chicago meant to you guys and your family? Maybe even like while your dad was going through this, but then also what have they meant to you even after your dad passed?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, like you mentioned, Susan, we were connected right away with the University of Chicago Clinic. We were assigned a care services coordinator, Peggy O'Connor, who is an angel on earth. And immediately I became quite close with Peggy because my dad was in his mid-50s. He was single. He's an independent, strong-willed man, and it was really tough going through, watching him lose his ability to take care of himself. And it felt like constantly we're faced with, okay, this new hurdle. He is struggling with, to walk without a cane, and then he needs a walker, and he can't get dressed himself. He can't eat by himself. He's having a hard time. So it was like one thing after the other. And a lot of those conversations included things like, okay, where can I don't know, have not had this conversation before, but where can I find a walker? Where's a good place to find like an adaptive fork for him? And so I have emails back and forth with Peggy where I would say, okay, like, I have this issue. Can you help me? And then she'd say yes. And I was like, where can I find the thing? And she'd say either, here's an Amazon link, Amber, insurance is going to cover it, or I have one in a back closet and I'll drop it off this weekend. So it was a lot of this, she was just such a resource for me, even more than the wonderful doctors at University of Chicago and at the ALS clinic. But really Peggy kind of was like the glue that kept us together. And she, given my dad's personality, and I think the way looking back now, he approached the disease and the grief of it was denial. So there's a lot of times where, I'd have a meeting with the doctor and my dad's like, yep, absolutely not. Whatever you're suggesting or doing, I don't want to do it. I don't want to think about it. I want to talk about it to me. And so then I'd call Peggy and say, Peggy, can you please talk to my dad? And then so she would go talk to dad and kind of be that go-between with us and with me. So I'm just so grateful that, she was there. She understood it. She had the perfect personality for it. And then, the second part of your question about what's, the ALS Association, how they impacted us post my dad dying.
Yeah.
So we've done the walk in Wheaton every year, the annual ALS walk with the team. And I usually get to see Peggy and give her a big warm hug and see some of the other people. And it feels like that even though we're not battling anymore, my dad's not battling anymore, we're still part of the family. And there's still some like cathartic comfort and maybe even still some grieving that happens when I'm around those people, and I'm around people who are still maybe are remembering a loved one or facing, potentially losing a loved one. So it's still like a special place, weirdly enough, this many years later.
Yeah, it's truly is one of those things where like, I don't know how people do without the, people like Peggy and the association. I mean, it's just to think of going through that without the resources that they provide. I mean, and I think to Amber's point, it's kind of, aside from kind of the connection to it, there's kind of this feeling of like paying it forward, where I know that Amber's brothers feel the same way. And kind of, it was so valuable during the time that we had it. And it just is, it puts you in this very exclusive group that you don't want to be a part of people that have been touched by, ALS so closely. And it really kind of makes you appreciative of the resources that were available, and really kind of makes you want to, like I said, pay it forward to, other people that are going through it currently.
Oh, I love, you hit the nail on the head there. It's this group that you are a part of. Yeah, you don't want to be a part of it, but once you are, it's a family for life. It doesn't matter how long it has been. When you lost a loved one, you are a family member for life. And I love that you have had this feeling of wanting to pay it forward and wanted to stay in the family and keep on helping those that are currently battling this disease, because you've walked in their shoes and you know what they're going through. And they need that love and support, honestly. I don't know if you were noticing Peggy's comments. So Peggy's watching the show tonight.
Yeah.
She is loving on you. She said your dad was an amazing soul, and she just loves seeing you and your family at the walk and remembering your father and all of his strong spirit. I love
that woman,
that.
I tell you, just angel on earth. I don't know how else to describe her. She's, yeah. Love you, Peggy.
It's true. I loved hearing these stories because you were telling me stories on the phone too, and that she was there in some of your worst moment, your absolute worst moments. And no matter what time you called her, it could be the middle of the night, Peggy was always there to answer the phone and to talk you through everything. And it never stops. Peggy and everybody with ALS United Greater Chicago, this is their passion and this is their purpose in life. And they are there to do everything in their power to make this battle that your dad and your whole family is going through, to make that battle as easy as possible for you, so that you guys can really just have the moments and make the memories and just love on each other as much as possible. Well, ALS takes so much. We know this, and we don't even need to start going through the things it takes, because that list is so incredibly long with everything that ALS takes away from you. And when you and I were talking, Amber, you were sharing so many beautiful stories and about that specifically. And it's this great reminder of why life is so precious and why what we're doing is so important, and why we need to keep doing more. And the reality of ALS is that it really does give you a new normal. You have to find new ways to experience things. You have to find new ways to move around with all the things that ALS starts taking away from you, with mobility and the long list. But there was something really beautiful in a story you told me about the way that you had to find new ways to communicate, to give a connection between your dad and, I know, your firstborn son. So share that story with me, because I think it's really beautiful.
Yeah, of course. So I'm very grateful that my dad got to he became a grandpa because of my son. My son was the first grandchild on both sides. So my dad had symptoms when my son was born, but we didn't know what was going on. And by the time he was diagnosed, the summer of 2016, my son was about a little over a year old. And if you have a 1-year-old or been around a 1-year-old, you'll know that they, are very particular. They don't usually want to be held by anyone other than mom or dad. They're all over the place, right? They're either walking, crawling. And that was this phase my son was in. And my dad, had pretty severe symptoms at that point. And I could tell, he didn't express this to me, but I could tell, like at family gatherings or parties, he just kind of sit in the corner and like had this look on his face. Like he wasn't able to connect with my son, like, his other grandparents were. Tom and I are friends and family. So we devised a way, given my dad's, physical condition, he couldn't hold him standing up and could barely hold him for too long. But he had enough muscle strength where I would get my son, like on a weekend for his nap, I get him down, get him to sleep, drive over to my dad's, and then transition him into my dad's arms, and he would hold him, even if it was 10, 15 minutes while he slept. And we did that, as many times as we could. There were some times where my son would wake up and, the car right there, and we'd have to scrap it and try again. But I remembered like distinctly, him holding him, my son, and just tears streaming down his face. That was the only way I felt like he could connect with him. And I look back now and wonder, like, did he know, that the memories we have of that were a few months before he passed. And I think about, all the things he has missed now. My son's 8, so he's going to baseball games and playing catch and into Pokemon and dinosaurs, and that I'm just, it's devastating that he can't, experience that. But I am grateful that we were able, to come up with something out of the box to give him that time before he passed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. See, again, this is why I can't say it enough. This is exactly why we're here. This is why we're sharing these stories. This is why we're talking about your dad. This is why you guys are out there running the marathon, so that we can make sure that no other family has to go through this. Because this sucks. ALS just sucks.
It does suck.
And that's a nice way of putting it. That is the nicest.
Yes.
It sucks. Well, we've said it before. So you guys haven't been runners, but there are so many ways that you can help. There are so many ways you can advocate for ALS, and you guys have done that in so many other ways. As you said, you started a walk team many, many years ago, and you've continued to walk to defeat ALS in memory of your father and sharing his story. But what made you take that leap and decide, a walk team's not enough, advocacy is not enough, I want to run 26.2 miles. How'd you get there?
When you say it like that, yeah, when you say it like that, Steve, it does seem like a big leap. Yeah, no, it sounds crazy. Like 2 years later, like if someone had asked Amber in the winter or the summer of 2021, I'd say, I don't want to do that. Why would I want to do that? But so Tom and I had always been, like, I would say, like, fitness enthusiasts. We've been involved in like Orange Theory or Peloton, and ran shorter distances. So, like, I think the longest I had done was maybe a 4-mile turkey trot or like a beer 5K or something along those lines. And then it was like, I feel like it was like this perfect storm. The winter of 2021, I was kind of searching for something maybe to call my own. I had 2 young kids, a full-time career, husband who travels, and he has a full-time job. Hi, Tom from Dallas.
Right?
And
shout out to the superstar Tom, who is on a work trip and he's still making time to join us from Texas.
But so there, I think, like, looking back, there was this feeling of like, I just want something maybe that's mine, and I want to do something significant. And I think that, coupled with, I had like maybe the seed had been planted by one of my favorite Peloton instructors, Robin Arzon. I'm going to give her a shout out. She has run 20 plus marathons, and had just run the New York Marathon, and was talking about and speaking about her journey, and it like planted the seed that maybe I could. And then, coupled with, I saw a social media post about Team ALS. So I had no idea previous to this that Team ALS had a marathon group and that they ran the Chicago Marathon. So those two things came together, very serendipitous, and it just like clicked. And I remember distinctly telling Tom on New Year's Eve, we went out to dinner. I was like, hey, I want to run a marathon. And he's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and I was like, you've had too much to drink. We need to go home. That's what my thought was. But
we need to cut you off tonight.
Yeah. But
yeah,
literally, like, I can't stress enough, like, zero knowledge about how to run a marathon. I had no idea logistics, nuts and bolts, like what you have to do. I just signed up. So
you did it. You just snagged one of those bibs right away. And then, okay, so then after you did that, what was that process like? You didn't know it was coming, but what was that whole prep process like for you, the whole training?
Yeah, I think I can't imagine. I mean, I've done 2 marathons now, both with Team ALS. I can't imagine not running with them. I don't know how people do it alone, because it's such a solitary sport, right? Unless you have a running group, you're out doing it by yourself. And like as soon as I signed up, I got connected with Sarah, and then I got put into this Facebook group with past and present Team ALS members. So there's a constant feed that kind of gears up in the summer of people saying, posting pictures of their long run or issues that they're having, or, I very distinctly remember posting a chafing question that I needed help with, and like 5 people commented. So there's like that, immediately you get like that sense of community. And then there's 2 to 3 throughout the year, the training cycle, there's 2 or 3 Zoom calls where you have Sarah on the line with Coach Brendan, who's the Team ALS running charity coach, who's also a phenomenal angel on earth. And they're both on there. Sarah will talk about fundraising tips. Then you have Coach Brendan talking about running and training advice. So you have that avenue. There's an in-person meeting or meetup that they do in the city that I attended my first year. And I just remember just sitting there over, chips and guac, talking to this girl about like, how are we, like, just kind of trying to figure it out. She didn't have really any idea either, neither did I. And like, but sharing why we were running was important. And I connected with her. It was her spouse that was affected. And then, we met up the morning of. So it's just like this, the Team ALS gives you the tools, I guess, for your toolbox. And then even after the Zoom calls, once training starts in the Memorial Day weekend, Coach Brendan will send an email out with like very timely training advice. So you're talking about like how to fuel, that you need to have this thing, like something called goo that I, again, had never heard of. You have to take during the marathon, which are little like pouches of disgusting, like jelly consistency. So talking about goo, and again, like the shoe and like all of it. So you'd get all these little training tips. So it really like teaches you, like, again, the nuts and bolts, like logistically, how do you prep your body and what do you need on that day?
I love that. And I love that all that, in case it's not clear, all that's provided to you when you're a part of Team A. You're not paying extra for any of this stuff. You're getting coaching, you're getting all these resources. You've got these experts that have done this so many times before and are giving you all the tips, so that even whether it's your first marathon or your 100th marathon, you completely know what you're prepared for. And like you said, you have all the tools in the toolbox. Was it a similar experience for you, Tom, through that process, that training process?
It was, yeah, it was pretty unique because I got to see Amber go through it last year when I was kind of just on the driver's seat and more kind of the support team. But it truly, I had some friends that have done it, and just kind of people in passing I've talked to and mentioned running with charity, and I've heard kind of mixed reviews of people saying, "Oh, if you run with charity, you got to do this," and I truly feel like to Amber's point, I don't know how we would have done this without TMALS. I mean, aside from the kind of the team you're part of and the bigger picture that you're kind of running for. I mean, to be a first-time marathon runner and to kind of enter into this with, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to expect, I don't know what the problems are and how to solve those problems once those problems pop up. To have Coach Brendan, to have Sarah, to have everything about that. I mean, to have the Facebook page. I mean, like for instance, when I went last year and brought the kids with to see Amber and ran around, to have that page to post, and literally people saying, "Hey, here's my cell phone number. Text me. I'll tell you kind of where the best spots are to watch with kids, and here's the place to get in." Because like day of it's just everything about the whole day and the whole weekend itself can be very intimidating if you've never done it before. And the running with Team ALS completely breaks down that barrier and really kind of makes it a lot more palatable and more approachable. And I think as a runner, you can truly just kind of focus on just training and getting yourself to that day. And it's not, all the extra stuff is truly a value add. It's not really, it's not extra. It's not there's not burden of fundraising. There's not everything with that. You're doing something for a bigger picture, and you have the utmost support while you're doing it, which is awesome.
Mm. Is that what pushes you through to get you through that training? Because it sounds like a grueling process, and you are running and you're running, and it's so much. It's not like you can just spend a weekend and prepare and then go run the marathon. This is a commitment. Is that what got you through all of it?
I think so. I mean, I think as you kind of sign up for it, you understand it's something that is going to be a bigger than you type of journey. And you kind of have to embrace the fact that it's going to be difficult. And I think setting out, I knew it was going to be difficult. I think sitting here today, 9 days removed, I didn't know how difficult it was going to be. It was pretty tough, but it was, I think my text to Coach Brendan after was, I hated it. It was awful, but I'm so glad I did it. Like that was really kind of the sentiment I was left with. I give Sarah a big hug after. I said, "You get one out of me." That's what it was. So it was love, but again, loved every bit of it. Loved the weekend. I say that now. I mean, I told Sarah 12 months before I ran it that I would never run one. So who knows? But
and here we are.
Exactly. Here we are. But it truly, I mean, I think, kind of speaking to the bigger kind of cause and the bigger kind of meaning behind it. I mean, it is certainly, I feel like distance running in a lot of ways is the antithesis of ALS. ALS constantly takes and removes your ability to move, and really kind of removes your ability to actually do the things that you take for granted on a daily basis. Distance running is the epitome of the opposite of that, is that every weekend you are pushing yourself to have to run longer and then push yourself and run through pain and everything that goes with that. And you're constantly proving to yourself you can actually do more than what you thought you could possibly do if it's the first time you've done it. So I think that was kind of our mantra the whole time, is just, we're doing it kind of because we can. And that, I think that carried Amber through the first year, and it certainly was kind of our theme through some injuries and some setbacks and whatnot this year, but ultimately kind of getting to the finish line.
Oh, I love it. It's beautiful because you can. What did you guys learn about yourselves? Because I imagine that's a super deep kind of a spiritual moment of going through. Like you said, you're running, you're pushing yourself harder, your head's going. It's a real big mental game. So what did you learn about yourselves through the training process?
Yeah, I can go first. I feel like I realized that I can do hard things. That both marathons and the training leading up to them are very grueling physically and mentally. And this second marathon, I think, given some of the struggles we had at the second half, was hands down the hardest thing I've ever had to do. But we made it, and there's sometimes, at the end of the race, Tom's like, the only way is through, the only way is through. And so I think it was just, for me, it was such a cathartic experience to think about where I was in 2021, and here I am having run two and have fallen in love with it and really enjoy running. That I think with a mindset shift and maybe a bigger purpose, like you mentioned, like you can do mighty things.
Tom, did you learn anything about yourself?
It's tough. I'll tell you, one of the things giving Amber a shout out here is, watching her do this for 2 straight years really kind of enforced the idea that she is one of the most regimented people I've ever met in my entire life. And it's pretty impressive to watch her rolling and foam rolling, just everything about it to kind of keep herself to that point. Meanwhile, I'm just like, yeah, I'll figure it out when I get there. No. And I think, Amber and I talked about this too, is, I think one of the big kind of underlying reasons we've done this is, we have, like we mentioned, Will, our son, was 1.5 when Mark passed, and our daughter hadn't even been born yet. So, I think staying close to this and having this and doing something kind of so momentous that they've been aware and alive and kind of really conscious of, gives us that kind of reason to always talk about it and, always refer back to it. And this is something that, is on the calendar every single year. There's, they're going to talk about the Chicago Marathon. We live in the Chicago area. They'll hear about it and they'll always know mom and dad ran one, or mom ran 2 and dad kind of ran 1. So, to have kind of that always to go back to of, that's a reason to talk about grandpa, and that's a reason to talk about Mark. And that's kind of always a reason to talk about, ALS, and kind of always that connection to the, whether or not we ever do one, or, we do one every year for the next 25 years, there's always that connection. And there's always that kind of that staying power with the kids.
I love that. Did you feel him with you as you're running this? I know you're probably thinking of it more, but did you kind of feel him there pushing you through this?
Oh yeah, Susan, I think I full on probably just lost my mind. Both marathons, I flat out just talked to him. I had one really bad training run, my first training cycle, where I just I had to split up the run, and I did the second half, and it was raining, it was cold, and I just cried. I was so upset with myself. I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I here? And I was able just to say I need some help, and I would talk to him, and I do feel like this process has kind of brought us closer in a way. And I know he's gone, but it still feels like he's there, and he knows that what we're doing and what we're and maybe he can hear me. I don't know.
I'm sure he can hear you. He was there literally pushing you guys through to get you to that finish line when things got extra tough and through all the injuries and everything. Of course he can. And I know he's proud. And Tom, I think it's awesome that she inspired you so much, even though you said, no, not on the table, not running a marathon. And here you are now, a finisher of the Chicago Marathon. But how have you guys inspired each other? So Tom, how has Amber inspired you through this process? And then Amber, how's Tom inspired you?
Yeah, I think she's kind of been my, my straight line through this process. I mean, to see her go through it the first time, and to watch her train so diligently, and just to be, I don't think anyone, I'm going to go on record and saying, I don't think anyone's reached out to Coach Brennan as much as Amber has. I think if he checked his email record, there's probably Amber's email is probably pretty high up there. But just to watch her go through the process, and it reminded me of just how hard she works at certain things, and to manage the career and both kids, and when for instance, I'm gone this entire week, so it's she's got to be doing this solo the whole time, and to have her training during that as well. So that was certainly cool, and to have her kind of be my Sherpa through the second time around of, hey, this is what's happening, and hey, when do you try this, and do I bring a water bottle, do I not, kind of have my personal marathon assistant as we're going through this was pretty cool.
Aww. Thanks, Tom. Well, conversely, okay, so how has Tom inspired me? So I feel like I did kind of drag him through this second one. And I think there's a little bit, honestly, of him feeling like he didn't want to be left out, and the competitive piece of him too. So I think that was enough to get him to do it. And then I think once we were in it, kind of training schedule went really well in the beginning, and then Tom, you had some injuries, and I think a lot back about that time, it was midsummer where you had to kind of pull back, and I think a lot of people would have just been like, I'm not going to do this, my body is telling me something, I'm not going to do it, I'm good, I tried, but the fact that you kept having to reassess and come back, and reassess and come back, and the fact that you made it, and that we did it, and that we did it together, and we didn't walk the back half, even though both of us terribly wanted to. I'm just proud that you did it, and proud that you finished. So good job. Aww. Even if it's your last one and only.
It's not. I don't know why we keep saying that. We'll let you have it for now, but I'm willing to bet that next year on the show, we're going to be laughing about, we're going to have you back and laugh about how, oh yeah, here you are again, 2024 marathon finisher.
I'm busy that weekend season. I got a lot of paperwork.
You know what? I think this is your penance. You have now admitted to the world that you scratched Mark's car. And so now your penance is running the next marathon again. You did it yourself.
You did.
I love you two, by the way. Anyone that knows me or that has watched the show a few times knows how obsessed I am with love stories. And you two are the freaking cutest. So I love you. And I'm so excited that we do need a variety show. Before the show, we were saying this, Sarah, we need to bring you back and we're all going to just get on and laugh and joke together. But you guys are fantastic. And I love how you did this together, and not only just did this together, it's not like you started the marathon and then you both just went off. It sounds like you stayed with each other the whole thing, because I know you finished, which I think is adorable, that you guys crossed that finish line holding hands. You finished together.
We did. I kind of was planning it, but I didn't want to tell him because I thought he might say no. So like we're both behind the eyes where we see the finish line. I was like, do you want to hold hands? And he's like, okay. And so we did, but the pictures are really cute. They're really cute pictures.
There's a bit of us holding each other up towards the end as well. Like it was kind of a balance thing a little bit, but yeah. But I'd like to use this platform again as a formal protest that somehow she finished a second ahead of me, even though we were holding hands. So I don't know, the good people of Chicago Marathon, I'd like a response if possible. If you could focus. Yeah.
You'd like the tape review. You want them to roll that back because there was a mistake made. Well, this is a good challenge now for the next one when you run again next year. Now the challenge is to beat her by at least 2 seconds.
That's.
I'm just putting it out there.
I'll report back on that real soon, Season.
Yeah. I'll hold my breath. Don't you worry. Don't you even worry. I love it. Well, you guys, what was the hardest? I know we've been talking about a few of these things, but on the actual marathon itself, what was maybe was there a hard moment that you really had to push through?
I can go, Tom. So at about mile 18, I had so my left knee had been bothering me, in season. So, through the marathon training, there's aches and pains, little mild injuries. I had never had any left knee issues at all, ever. Right. And we're out there, we're running, and I start to feel some pain in my left knee, and then gets progressively worse. Mile 18, I had a full, my knee seized up. I hobbled off to the side. I'm shouting for Tom to stop and wait for me. But I had this moment where right at that point, mile 18, I couldn't put any weight on my left leg. And I did have a moment where I was like, is this am I going to do irreparable damage? Can I make it? Can I walk it? I can't put any weight on it. And Tom and I were able to kind of triage it. He convinced me that I couldn't do any terrible damage and I was going to be okay. And so we started walking a little bit, but that, I think for me, that was the hardest of not knowing, can I do this? Am I going to have to crawl these next, it's 8 miles is a long time. It wasn't just a couple, but it was so demoralizing in that moment. But then pushing through that, I'm proud that I was able to, and I'm proud Tom and I were able to push through that. Cause that was by far the hardest for me at that point.
You're okay now? Your knee is okay now?
Yeah. It's not 100% better, but it's much better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the message to everyone who's like us and thinking about, doing this for the first time and scared of it or whatever, we're 9 days removed. I walked 3 miles yesterday. We're back to kind of normal here. So it hurt in the moment and it was hard. And that last 8 miles was the hardest thing physically and mentally we've ever had to do. But we did it. And I think that's the cool thing is you get to the other side of it, and man, there's nothing like that last 800 meters when you're kind of going up Roosevelt and turning over Congress, and it's out of body at that point, and it makes whatever pain you had pretty worthwhile at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So cool. And I love you've given people a really good glimpse of what it is like to truly be a member of Team ALS, what that training process was like, even what was that weekend like? What was the whole weekend experience like? Because I want people to know that too, because you don't know unless you've actually been a part of it.
Yeah, I honestly I think one of the reasons I came back and no spoiler alert, we'll continue to come back. I love the weekend so that you have you go to the expo, and there's an ALS tent there, a booth. You can go say hi to Sarah, you get your bib, you have a little interaction. And then the night before, there's a big dinner at Harry Carey's in the city, and a big group of people, food there. And then every runner that wants to can stand up, and they pass the mic around and say why you're running and who you're running for. And it gets very emotional, like very, very emotional. And it's just such a stark reminder of why on the eve of something so big, and when there's jitters and nervousness and uncertainty. Both of those dinners for me, it just solidified, like, this is why I'm doing it. It's bigger than me. It's because I can. This is a privilege. And then the morning of, when everybody else is, having to brave the Chicago cold, Team ALS has a beautiful suite at Roosevelt University that's right off the start and finish line. So in the morning, there's a big picture, and there's breakfast, and Sarah's there, and it's just like such a community feel. And then when you finish, you come back to that suite, and you get a standing ovation from everybody that's there, no matter what time you finish, which is for us, it was a little while longer. Wasn't as busy, but you get a standing ovation. There's masseuses there to, it's just, again, the whole thing. Like, I can't imagine not running Chicago and not having that there, that support.
Yeah, I said that. I think I said that twice, before and after the race, is when we were kind of hobbling back, and I just said, I was like, can you imagine doing this if we didn't have, like, you have gear check there, you have, like Amber said, there's food, there's so many resources that it's the closest thing to being like a sponsored athlete at that point. You've got everything kind of with you, you got everything there. You get back there, and there's a live feed of the finish line, so families can go there and meet up with you after the fact. So that's been, it sounds cliche, but I truly don't know how people do it without having that sort of kind of support system, because it makes the weekend so much more approachable and so much more enjoyable.
I love that. Well, we've already we know your answer to this, if we'll see you back next year. We know, Amber, we'll see you. Tom, I think I have a feeling we're going to see you. Either way, we're going to see you. It's whether you're running or not.
I'll be there. Yeah, I'll be there cheering. I'll be there helping Sarah. But yeah, it's we'll see if 2024, probably not with me running behind you, but
I think anyone watching, you chime in here. Do you think Tom should run? We'll take a poll on this. Peggy thinks you two are a great team. I love that. Aww. Absolutely. Yeah. And she is reminding us too that back when you didn't know if your dad could hear you, that he absolutely hears you, and he is so proud of you. I second that. I second that, Peggy. And yes, if you're watching before we go, chime in if you want to see Tom run the 2024 Chicago Marathon with Team ALS. I'm putting you all kinds of on the spot here, Tom. It's only because I love you and because you're part of the family now. Putting you on blast. But before I let you guys go, I want to know, what would you say to anyone that maybe watches this or listens to this at any point in time before the next marathon? Why should they run a marathon, and why should they run for Team ALS?
Ooh. Can we go first? Tom?
You first.
Okay. So I think if you're thinking about running a marathon, then you're so close to just committing to it. I think half the battle, 90% of the battle is just committing to it, committing to the training. So if it's there and it's an inkling, you can do it. Just do the training, and then the marathon really is just icing on the cake. It's a victory lap, right? It's really to showcase all that you've done all over the whole summer. So I think if you're thinking about it, you can do it. Tom and I can do it. You can do it. And then you sure as heck shouldn't run Chicago without being a part of Team ALS, because you're going to be cold in the morning. You're going to be out there with everybody else with porta potties, having just no support. So you have to, if you do it, you have to do it Team ALS. No brainer.
I love the selling point is you don't want to use a porta potty, do you? So run with Team ALS.
Sarah's new slogan.
You don't know till you know. That's really what I kind of comes down to there. Yep. No, but it truly is. I mean, it's one of those things. Like I feel like it's kind of like, if you wait for the perfect time to have kids, you're not going to have kids. There's never a perfect time to do it. If you're thinking about it, if you've ever thought about it, if you've got a connection, there is no better team to do it with, and it is an absolutely life-changing experience.
I love that. And if you have also fallen in love with Tom and Amber like I have, then you can actually meet them in person and become friends with them. That is another bonus to being a part of Team ALS. You get to be friends with Sarah, Amber, and Tom.
Aw.
Win, win, win.
I'll be there handing out bananas. I won't be the running guy. I'll be here, banana, water. Let me take your shoes. Yeah. Yep.
Either way, it's still a win all the way around. I love this. You guys are incredible. We've got see, other people think you're incredible too. The Mazzanti is tuning in from another, they're far away. They're another state. They're not even in Illinois. They think you're a great guest too.
Aw.
Love it. Nobody, Tom, I think you're doing really well here because not one person has jumped in and said that you should be running. So I'm a little shocked by this.
Season, all right. There's a lot of people understood the pain behind these eyes. All right.
Oh man, you may have just gotten off the hook, but either way, I love the two of you to death. It is so awesome to get to meet you. And thank you for being a part of Team ALS. Thank you for everything you do, jokes aside, for spreading awareness, for raising money to help put an end to this, and for keeping Mark's memory alive. What you're doing is so incredibly beautiful. And thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you for having us.
I lied. That was like a big upswing. Like, I'm going to let you go, but there's one more really important story that I think we need to say. I don't even know it. I remember Sarah mentioned it. There was a really beautiful moment, something that your kids did for the marathon.
Okay. So this year we decided to let our kids draw on our, here we go. So these are my shoes that I wore. So my son and daughter wrote, like, I love you, mommy. My daughter. So literally that got me through some of the later miles, just seeing her little scribble. And then I had another, I love you. I don't have Tom's hat, but they drew on Tom's hat also. So we always have a memory.
Like the bill of my hat, so I could kind of look at it as I was going and everything. So it was cool. That truly did help a lot.
So cool. Oh, that was worth it. I needed to hear that story. But again, so thank you guys. Thank you. We're ending on that beautiful note of the power of how amazing your little ones are and how they pushed and got you through also. So you guys rock, and it sounds like your kids rock too. So you're just a family of awesomeness.
You're so sweet, Susan. Thank you.
Absolutely. It's all part of my trap to keep you in the Sunflower family and to keep you coming back so we can have you back on the show again for some more smiles and laughs.
Yes, definitely.
Well, thank you guys so much. Enjoy Dallas, and we'll see you again real soon. I know that. And we're going to gear up for next year's marathon.
Awesome. Thank you, Susan.
Have a great night, guys.
Bye.
Okay, how fun and how adorable are the two of them? You got a massive behind the scenes glimpse of what it is like to run for Team ALS. So if you are interested, like Amber and Tom were saying, do not wait. Go for it. Run for Team ALS. All the information can be received from Sarah. Just shoot her an email, sarah@alsunitedchicago.org, and she'll get you all the info to join this incredible team. As always, guys, thanks for sticking with us. Thanks for spending some time and some laughs with us. So happy to have you all as part of the Sunflower Hour family. We will see you again next month for the next live episode of Season Sunflower Hour. Have a beautiful rest of the month. And until I see you again, be bright and shine your light. Have a wonderful October.